Where do you stand on
man.
faith? Or what happens when, in your estimation, we die? What happens?
I really don't know. And I think in that regard, I'm right there with everybody. I think you can have your ideas, and I think those ideas can strengthen your resolve in this life, and they could even help you. And this is something that I had to accept as I got older, more of the same thing, like, okay, why do I have this reaction? Like, there's certain people that are like these ardent atheists. They're like, God is dead, there's no God, shut the fuck up. I'm like, okay. How do you know? You don't know. So even though logic would point, I mean, if you really paid attention to the way human beings tell stories, you would have to say, well, a lot of these religious stories are probably fabricated, or maybe there was an initial message, or maybe there was some wisdom that these people initially stumbled upon. They wanted to document it. But whether or not all this came from God, you know, the Cain and Abel shit, and trying to trick a brother into killing another brother, like, oh, I almost got you. You know, you're going to do it for me. You're my boy. You're going to kill your brother. Thanks, man. Or there's so many of those stories.
Sounds a little more human than
it's way more
godlike.
Human. Yeah. But does that mean there's no God? No, of course it doesn't. It doesn't. This universe is too bizarre for you to leave anything off the table. Any possibilities of what created it, what sustains it, other than scientific, you know, you get down to like the most reductionist perspective of it's just a series of quarks and gluons and atoms and, you know, and energy, and maybe it is all that. Maybe it is just that, but maybe that in itself is God. Maybe God is not a material thing, but it's a creating force of the entire universe itself, and it also has good in its heart. Like maybe the reason why we love like hugs and good conversation and you know, a cute puppy and all these different things, we like love and we like happiness, because all these things are powerful forces in the universe, and all these things represent the greater will of the creator of whatever it is that makes this universe so spectacular, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know what it is, but anybody who says they know what it is lying.
Right.
You're lying. You're trying to trick people so that you have the ultimate truth and they don't, and that's how we control people. And that's fine up until around now.
Right.
It's fine when there was no internet. It's fine when books were scarce. It's fine when we had to keep order. It's fine. It's fine. But it's not fine anymore because we know too much now. So it doesn't mean that there's no God, but it means you definitely, this guy that wants the jet, who's that televangelist that wants $50 million to buy his own private jet? For sure, that guy's full of shit.
Right.
See? So there's like things that we can like.
He's
we
found
can
a
be
hustle,
sure.
and it's not even an original hustle. It's like, I know what happens after this. Give me your money.
God wants me to be wealthy. That's what he's saying. He's saying
Did
God
you ever
doesn't want me
meet
to
somebody
ride around on a
who
donkey.
experienced the afterlife yet?
I've met people that my belief is that a lot of that can be attributed to the chemicals that your brain is capable of producing on a regular basis. It does while you're sleeping. It does while you're into periods of extreme stress, you know, and that all of these different chemicals most likely are released in the brain during these overwhelming periods of anxiety and fear and terror and injury, and when your body is thinking like, hey, man, this might be it, you know, and I think that's probably what a lot of these near-death experiences are, is that people are experiencing what you would call an endogenous psychedelic experience. That your brain is releasing these potent chemicals that it absolutely has inside of it. Your brain has a ton of different, you know, things like dimethyltryptamine and different psychedelic chemicals it's capable of producing, as well as like melatonin, dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline, cortisol. There's a fucking storm of shit going on in your brain. And
in a moment like near death,
in a moment like death, like, oh,
jacks it all out into your
probably
system.
pumps it through your fucking neurons, and everything's firing, and you're seeing things that aren't there, and you're talking to dead relatives, and you're imagining the pearly gates, and your imagination is on 10, and you're just seeing everything. That's the reductionist perspective. The hopeful, optimistic, spiritual woo-woo perspective is this is a chemical gateway, and you're seeing through the door of the other side. And then when they decide it's not your time yet, you're sucked back to where you lie, and then you're allowed to resume this life because you have more work to do. And that's the perspective that a lot of people feel when they come out of those experiences, right? They feel like I have more work to do. I can't stop now.
My mom, years ago, God, it was like 10 years ago, more than that even, maybe 15 years ago at this point, had a heart attack, or a heart episode, rather. My dad died of a heart attack, but my mom was on the table and they were putting a stent into her heart, into her artery. And she was sitting there chit-chatting while they were doing the surgery. I guess she was on a local more so than anything else. And she was joking around with the doctor. She's like, "Here, I got to hurry up, doc, because I got to pick up my mom for the..." And then went out.
Whoa.
And so she died for a minute and a half, clinically fucking dead. They had to fucking try to restart the heart. So I was like, what happened? What was it? And she said, you know, she didn't describe, like, I saw the bright lights and I saw people and blah, blah, blah. She said I was floating. And I was like, floating up? She goes, no, floating on my back. It's like, okay, well, you were on your back in the hospital. Do you think that's what it was? She's like, I don't know, but this is what I remember. Every iota of responsibility I ever felt in my life was gone. She's like, I felt free. Like I felt instantly lighter. And just as I was heading in a direction, that's when like they pulled her back. So she'd been dead for like a minute and a half, her heart had stopped. So I was like, all right, you've been in this best of all possible worlds for, you know, fucking 60 plus years. Now you've seen a glimpse of the other side, which is better. And my mom said, the other side. And I said, what? You were there for like a minute and change. Why? And she said, I was completely fucking free. Like, that was it. I didn't know this one. I don't have to care for this one. I don't have to make sure this is taken care of. I don't have to feed the cat. She was like, it was bliss. She's like, and if that's what happens, then I look forward to that again. So when I was having my shit 3 months ago and the doctor was like, you got a 20% chance of living, I was sitting there going through all the fucking shit in my head about like, all right, well, this is it. You've spent your life with your head up your ass, you know, fucking trying to figure out who you are. Go ahead, look at your head and heart. This is it. This is the big moment. Like, what are your thoughts? What's going through? And I'm such a chicken shit in life. I assumed that I'd be like the guy who was like, I'll fucking suck your dick to stay in this life. Because I know this life and I don't know what happens afterwards and stuff. So I thought I'd be begging for help from God or something like that. But I was like, I made dogma. I'm sure Jesus would be like, go to hell, fuck you, buddy Christ my ass. So instead of doing the religious thing, I started thinking about just the journey itself. I was like, well, if the journey's ending, what are your thoughts? Just like when they held up the phone, they were like, do you want to talk to your wife? And I was like, no, of course I did. But I didn't want to because I was like, I know in my heart of hearts, if I speak to my wife right now, I'm going to be in that 20%. I'm going to die. I'm going to be in the 80%. I'm going to fucking drop dead because that's
the intensity of it.
Not even like, oh my God, it's gonna kill me. It just, the way they were so like, your wife is on the phone. Do you want to speak to her right now? Was very leading. And, you know, they're professionals and these cats deal with life and death every day. And this was my first experience with it. So what I got out of it was.
You're probably going to die.
Was what they felt.
Yeah.
And it's still, I was in this state of like, I didn't even realize I was having a heart attack. And so I remember looking at the phone and being like, if I answer it, if I talk to Jennifer, that's going to be it. I'm not going to leave this room. So I was like, I'm going to play the odds. If I don't talk to Jennifer, maybe there's some part of me that's like, look, I like talking to Jennifer. We've been together fucking 20 years. I better enjoy talking to Jennifer. Maybe if I put this phone call off, you know, then I'll get to talk to Jennifer when it's all fucking done. So I said to the dude, I was like, you know what? Tell her I'll call her back. And the guy goes, seriously? And I was like, yeah. And I saw him talking and got off the phone. I was like, what'd she say? And he goes, she was fucking pissed, dude. And I was like, well, I'm dealing with my own shit right now. So I was laying there on the table and I was like going through my life and I was more grateful than anything else. I wasn't scared anymore. That was the thing. That was the thing that I love to communicate. I spent my whole life terrified of fucking dying. And when I was as closest to it as I ever knew I was, and for all I know, I was closer someplace, but like I was cognizant and told by a professional, this is fucking risky. I was just I was grateful more than anything else. I was like, what a fucking journey. Like, yeah, and I'm 47 and it seems short, but fucking like, you gotta admit you did more than fucking most people get to do. And maybe that's why it happened at an early age, because you weren't gonna get the rest of this time and shit like that. But like, I wasn't mad. I wasn't like, fucking why, this is unfair. I remembered like, there's a issue of Sandman, which I absolutely loved, Neil Gaiman's comic book series back in the day. And in like after the first story arc, we meet his sister. The main character is Dream, Morpheus, the character of Dream. He's part of the Endless, and he's got other siblings, Delirium, Desire. One of his siblings is Death. And they represent Death in the comic book. You know, you're used to seeing the fucking Scythe and the fucking Grim Reaper and shit. She's the little emo girl, goth girl, wearing an ankh around her neck and shit like that. It was written in the 90s. And they don't tell you right away that she's Death. As you're reading the issue, you're like, oh, shit. I think she's meant to be Death. She's ferrying souls over to the other side. So you see a baby pass, and she's holding the baby, and then there's the refrain is like, I hear the sound of her wings, and that's taking this soul over to the next place as she's sitting around talking to her brother. And so she eventually gets into a room with this older guy who's like, who are you? And you know, she's like, I'm here for you. You know who I am. And he's like, that's it? He's like, oh my God, I did all these things. I worked my fingers to the bone, and what did I get? This is it. What did I get? And she says, like a line that when I read it when I was 18, it was powerful. But when I was laying on the fucking table, it was constantly going through my head and made it all easier. Made me kind of at peace with the idea of dying. There's this line she says to the guy. She goes, you got what everybody gets. You got a lifetime. And as I was laying there, I was like, oh my God, I got a lifetime. Like that's what it was. Nothing more, nothing fucking less. And I did some shit in it, and now it's going to stop, and people are going to go on without you, and that's not terrible. Like, I thought I'd be fucking desperate to live, and instead I had that weird, like, I understood what my mother said for the first time. Because I was laying there, I was like, oh my God, like I made it to the end. Like, this is it. This is the finish line. And it had been something that I was terrified of ever getting to. But then when really kind of faced with it, I was like, oh, like I'm done. Like, I'm not scared that I'm done. I'm actually kind of relieved that I'm done. And like, you know, fucking like I didn't get killed, and I wasn't home invaded. A shark didn't eat me. All the things that like I'd been terrified of my entire life, like I don't have to think about anymore. I made it to the end, and it's kind of okay. So it's weird. My whole life I thought, like, you know, I'd be scared to death, and most people, we all are. We're all terrified of fucking dying because we don't know. But that's the closest I ever came, and I wasn't scared. Like, suddenly the fear just went away, and it seemed logical. Like, of course it's over. Like, things end. And I didn't want to die. I didn't have a death wish, but I was like, if it's done, it's done. And count your blessings and be happy, and don't be a bitch. Like, don't. If the fucking ferryman shows up tonight, don't fucking hold out. Don't be the last asshole at the party going, no. Like, just fucking pay the ferryman, get on a boat and go. We'll see what's next and stuff. And then ultimately Leidenheim did a good job, and I fucking wound up living and stuff. So I know this much. I got to read a bunch of shit like after I nearly died, and it was all nice. People wrote very nice things about me and shit. And I expected, you know, as the creature of the internet, that some people would be like, I wish he had fucking died, fuck him to death and shit. I wish he'd stay silent. But generally it was like very nice things. People were kind of positive and stuff. So I was like, fuck, man, like, you know, I didn't want to die, but like if I had, like, that would have been okay. Now I'm back at it. You know what I'm saying? Like now, until it ends, like I've got to, you know, and it's kind of easy. As long as I don't wake up with a fucking dead girl or a live boy, I don't think like they'll fucking rake me over the coals when I die in the future and shit like that. But it felt weird to be so close to the completion and having something that normally terrifies you suddenly be like, oh, it's okay. Like, I don't, if you walked up and put a gun in my face, I'm sure I'd feel threatened, but like I kind of lost my fear of death. I'm not like death defying. I won't go out and do anything differently. But that dark cloud that kind of kills any good time, the moment you start thinking about like
the fear and anxiety,
you're going to die one day. Like,
yeah,
it's gone. And all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'm going to die one day. And it's going to be awesome. But not for the reasons that you think I'm saying it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome because I finish. Like, it's nice to finish things. We know how good it feels in life to complete something. And that's the biggest fucking thing in life you'll ever complete is your journey. So I didn't walk away going like, I got to do more. Like, I got to fucking live life to the fullest. I just got to keep doing what I've been doing. Like, living life the way I enjoy it, trying to do things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they fail and shit. Sometimes people are on your side, sometimes people are like, you fucking blow. And just do that fucking time. Have good conversations in the process, meet interesting people, hear new points of view and shit like that. And keep at it. But it's nothing to be afraid of. Like,
awesome.
I don't want to get eaten by a cat, don't get me wrong. Like, and I guarantee you, I would not be philosophical as a fucking big cat was crushing my, I'd be like, Jesus, no. I'd find prayer quick. But death is no longer something, I'm not looking for it, and I certainly won't put myself in harm's way, but it doesn't preoccupy me anymore. I've been there, and it's not the thing that I was led to believe it was. Like, it's not the ultimate fear come true. It's not the Grim Reaper. There's a sense, at least in my case, and again, I didn't have a painful heart attack. I'm sure people have had heart attacks where they feel like their fucking body's being ripped and cleaved in twain. But it wasn't that. It wasn't scary. It was okay.
Well, listen, man, I'm glad you lived because I love you, and you're one of my favorite people
I love you
to
too.
talk to. And we don't talk very often, but when we do, I always love it.
And after the heart attack, I couldn't wait to. We started texting and be like, "Bro, you gotta come in." I was like, "Definitely."
I didn't want to ask quick. I wanted to give you some time.
What's the protocol on that
so
sort of shit?
Gross. Like, it's so morbid. Listen, man, you might not make it. Do you think you can get in here?
Is
the next couple
Tuesday
weeks?
good?
Yeah.
But no, I is happy to be here and stuff. As we all are happy to be above ground. It's better than below ground.
I'm happy to hear your perspective too.
I want to pass that on because you're a seeker as well. And
I think it means a lot to a lot of people that are listening too, because that's what everyone's scared of, right?
Oh, it blows, dude.
Everyone's scared of the ride being over.
That's what we think. We're trained to think that way. Every fucking movie, every book you read, every song is about like how it'll suck when it's over, and
that fear can keep you from enjoying it while you're living it
and trying cool things and stuff like that. And I don't mean like putting yourself in harm's way. Like, let's shoot a movie with real lions. Like, that's been done. Don't try it. You can watch the fucking video. But the things where you're like, I'd really like to try it, like, it fucking won't work, or oh, there's maybe time later. That's the one thing I did walk away from it. Like, time, you're fucking lucky for every goddamn second.
Every goddamn second.
So use it wisely.
And I think if you can just think that way, like today's a borrowed day. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to trick yourself into like finding more enthusiasm. You have to trick yourself to be pumped up about stuff. But if you can really do that and exercise those patterns in your brain and get them normal, there's people that have tricked themselves into enjoying all sorts of things that they know are good for them. They just fire up those fucking chemicals, and today we're gonna just go out there and attack this day because this is a gift. This isn't supposed to be here. We got one.
I think that all the time now, honestly. That's like an underlying that goes under almost every thought I have. And it doesn't happen constantly, but it literally happens about 10 times a week. You'll be doing something, you'll be heading somewhere, you'll be eating something, fucking whatever the fuck, fucking having a conversation, and then you'll be like, this isn't supposed to be happening right now. Technically, based on the odds, I was supposed to die back on that fucking table. So suddenly you're like, I'm playing on house money.
House money,
You know what I'm saying? Live a house money life, kids.
Live a house money life, kids. That should be a fucking t-shirt. Thank you, Kevin.
Excellent being here.
Really appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you.